Okay, so today we have a very special guest. His name is Carlos Vivas from Atlanta, Georgia, in the USA. So, Carlos, a very warm welcome to my channel, and thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Isabella. Really glad to be here. I'm very excited to tell my story to all your listeners in your program. Thank you.
Brilliant. We're very excited too. So, Carlos, you're a very special person, I would say, because you faced death more than once in your life. You faced death at the early age of 7 or 8 when you found yourself under a river and you actually thought you might die. And then at the age of 14, you were told that you had terminal cancer. And then you heard a voice, which you think is the voice of God, telling you that you'd be okay. So you started praying and visualizing, and 3 months later, you were completely free of leukemia. That in itself is absolutely amazing. But that's not enough for you, Carlos, because in 2015, you had a near-death experience. So I would absolutely love it if you could tell us about it, please, Carlos.
Sure, I'm ready. Okay,
All
before I
right.
start my story, thank you. Before I start my story, I just want to let you know that for me to get cured of leukemia, I made a promise to God. So I told God, like, if you save me, I promise I'm gonna tell the whole world that you're real because there is a lot of people that don't believe in you. And 3 months later, I was completely healed, but I never say anything to no one. That's why my accident happened in 2015, and this is how it started.
I get it.
So yeah, this is how it started. So in 2015, one morning, it was Saturday. I wake up. It was a week before Memorial Day. I go into my living room. It was a sunny day, beautiful. I sit down on my sofa. I turn the TV on, and I'm putting the news. And I just started seeing images of a guy going to school with a rifle and killing some kids. So I feel horrible. I turned the TV on, off, and I said, "You know what, God, this is it for me. I cannot see this anymore." Like in the United States, there is a lot of shootings every year. I don't understand what this person come here and do that. If there is a God, if you are real, you need to show me now what's going on. And in that moment, my phone rings. It was one of my best friends that he was calling me, asking me what I'm gonna do for Memorial Day. That was next weekend. I said, like, I don't have anything planned. What do you want me? What do you want to do? I said, well, my family is coming from out of town. Do you want to come with us to Florida? We're going to Panama City Beach. It's a really famous part here in Florida. So sure, let's go. So we accommodated the trip, and we traveled with his family. We went to Florida. When we arrived there, it was a lot of traffic. We went to the first beach, and it was packed with people. Then we went to a second one, it was packed. Third one was packed. And I said to my friend, you know what? Let's let's try to find a place that is not that busy. And I remember that I used to go to an island called Shell Island, and it wasn't that crowd, because you have to pay to go on a boat. So I tell my friend, let's look in our phones to see if we can find a marina. So I check on my phone. My phone said, you don't have permission to navigate on internet. I was like, what? I get my work phone, and the work phone, they say the same. You don't have permission to navigate on internet. I was like, this is crazy. What was happening in that moment was red flags. When something is happening for you, do not go. But I didn't capture that moment there. And I tell one of my friends, hey guys, could you check in your phones? And one of my guys said, like, yeah. I found a national park. It's called San Andrews State Park. Let's go there and let's see if we can go from there. So we went to San Andrews State Park. We paid for the tickets. We go into a shuttle bus. The shuttle bus takes us to a marina, and from the marina, we get the boat and we go to the island. The island is like 25 minutes into the ocean, in the middle of the ocean. So when we arrived to the bayside of the island, it was completely packed with people. So my friends like, Carlos here too. I said, like, you know what? Don't worry about it. we're going to the back side of the island that is open ocean. So there shouldn't be anybody there. So we get out of the boat, we start walking. When we're half away, there is a guy with 5 kids, and the guy says, "Excuse me, guys, where do you think you're going?" I said, like, "We're going to the other side, sir." So like, why? So because this part is packed with people and we want some peace. That's why we want the other side. I said, well, it's dangerous. You should stay here where all the families are, but go ahead, go there. But be careful, okay? So we continue walking. When we arrived to the backside of the island, we noticed there was nobody there. So when we arrived there, we get a spot and I have a canopy and we start putting the canopy together. As soon we put the canopy together, the wind start blowing and the canopy open like a parachute. You know, the fabric of the canopy is like a parachute. So we start putting the canopy down, and for 45 minutes, the wind was so harsh that we couldn't. That was another red flag right there to do not stay there, but I didn't listen, you know. And then after 45 minutes, one of my friends brings some rocks and put rocks in every corner, and we stay there from 4 p.m. I mean, from 9 a.m. till 4 p.m. So during this time, we put chairs, we drinks, we brought food, music, and we spent all day there. Around 4 p.m., one of my friends said, Carlos, we want to walk around the island with my family. Do you want to come with us? And I said, like, no, no. I just want to stay here because I want to take care of the canopy with the food and everything. So you guys have 45 minutes to go around the island because it's like a circle. But you have 1 hour to come back before the last boat leave the island. I said, okay, we'll be back. So okay. So they left. I was by myself. Started getting very hot because the sun was very spicy over me. And I said to myself, I'm just gonna jump to swim a little bit. I'm not afraid to swim because when I was a child, my mom used to take me to swimming lessons, and I used to be on a swimming team, compete and all that. So I was good with that. So I jumped into the water. I was swimming, everything was fine, and out of the sudden, something started pulling me from the bottom. I didn't know what it was. So when I entered into the water, I noticed some holes on the sand, but I didn't know what this hole were was there on the water. And I said, well, this is weird, but I continued swimming. Then this current started pulling me, one, two, and the third one pulling me so fast that throw me away far, far away from the island. If you have seen the movie Finding Nemo, in that movie from Disney, there is a current that take all the fishes out of the shore all the way into the ocean. It's called Australian current. So it's like a tunnel under the water, and that tunnel throw me far, far away. When finally this current stopped and I pulled my head out of the water, I was far, far away from the island. The island was like this small. I was like, how in the world I get here? But anyways, I'm not gonna panic. I'm gonna swim back. So I started swimming, swimming, and then when I pulled my head out of the water, I was in the same point. Why? Because the riptide is still pulling me into the ocean, but I didn't feel it because it's huge. And then I tried to swim again, nothing. And for almost 25, 30 minutes, I was going and going and going until I started getting cramps on my arms, on my legs. And I knew at that moment that I was about to die. There was no way nobody's going to save me. It was the perfect setup. It was like less than an hour before the park closed and the last boat was leaving the island. There was nobody watching me. I was by myself, you know, it was perfect. So in that moment, I said, okay, God, you got me. I never thought that today is going to be my last day. But if you want to take me now, I'm ready. But before I go, I just want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for my mom. Thank you for my dad. Thank you for my brothers, my sisters. Thank you for everything you gave me. And I'm sorry if I did something wrong. In that moment, behind me in the middle of the ocean, I heard a voice behind me that said, ask for help. And I look everywhere and I don't see anyone. And I said, this is my imagination. So I'm trying to swim and I heard again, ask for help. And in this moment, I get mad. I said, really, could you please help me? Like, where are you at? I cannot see you. Nothing. So I said, like, my imagination, I'm trying to swim again. And then for the third time, I heard, I told you to ask for help. And I was like, oh my God, don't you see that it's impossible that I'm going to get to the shore? I'm too far away and I can't. As the voice says again, ask for help. I said, okay, okay. I started screaming, help, 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 help. At the end of the island, one of my friends, Enrique, came out of the group because he felt something was wrong. That's why you have to feel your heart. So when you know, like you have a son or daughter and you feel something is wrong with them, go and check on them, you know? That's another red flag. So he did. He followed his heart and he went to look for me because he felt something was wrong. He didn't saw me at the tent. He went to the beach. He didn't saw me there. He went to a top of a hill, and from the hill he saw me. So he started screaming, Carlos, I'm gonna call 911. Hold on, hold on. Guess what? He went back to the tank. He grabbed some tubings. He went to the top of the hill and started dropping the tubings. He was so nervous that he thought the tubings were gonna fly where I was, far, far away. But the tubings was flying back to him because the wind was against him. And when he saw that, I was like, "Oh my God!" So in that moment, he ran away to the other side of the island that wasn't too far, and called everybody to come and help me. 6 guys come to the top of the rock and jump, and everybody starts swimming my way. Everybody trying to get me, but 10 minutes later, everybody starts turning around. And when I saw that, I was like, what are they turning around? They're going to save me. And in that moment, I heard a thunder behind me. And when I looked back, a big thunderstorm was coming. The sky was turning black, lightning behind me. And I said to myself, they don't want to die for me. They don't know me, you know? And in that moment, I said, God, you know what? I'm just going to surrender. I don't want to fight anymore. And in this point, I tell people how many times in your life you are fighting with cancer, with divorce, with many things in your life, and you cannot fight anymore. You need to let God to take over. So, and that's what I did in that moment. I said, God, I cannot fight anymore. I've been fighting here for 30, 45 minutes, and that is impossible. Just take over, do whatever you have to do with me, but let's do it fast. And in that moment, a huge wave came and crushed me under the ocean. When I was under the water, I open my eyes and I see a black shadow that's coming from far, far away. And I was like, oh my God, Charles. So I covered my eyes. I was like, oh, I just was waiting for the bite. I was like, oh, I'm dead now. And this thing come under me and grab me and push me all the way up. Grab my stomach and push me all the way up. When I go out of the water, this thing was a huge gray dolphin. I was impressed. I was shocked. I start crying. I couldn't believe that this beautiful animal was saving my life. He looked at me, I look at him, and we have like a eyes connection. You know, there's people that said there, your eyes are the windows of the soul. So I guess our souls got connected in that moment. How many times do you have a dog or a cat and you see in through their eyes and you can see if they are happy or that feeling that connect you with the animal. That was the feeling that connect me with the dolphin in that moment. So that would make me cry. It's like, thank you so much. I don't know how do you know that I was dying, and thank you for saving me. So I grabbed the dolphin by the tail. He let me grab it, and he stayed there. He didn't move, and I was like just crying like a baby there. Right. 10 minutes later, a feature boat showed up in front of me, and the guy said, "Carlos, I can't save you, but I can go close to you because the thunderstorm waves they are coming so big they're getting inside of my boat. So I'm gonna throw you a rope and you come here, okay?" So he throw me a rope. I go to the boat, and when I arrive to the boat, I just grab some air because I was tired. I go like, whew. And in that moment, he started screaming like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" I said, like, "Sir, I'm tired. Like, let me get some air." I said, like, "No, we don't have time for that." I said, like, "What are you talking about?" I said, "My body's sinking." I said, "Your body's sinking? What are you talking?" I said, "Yeah, I have a pump that take the water out of the boat. But right now, the pump is stopped. And all the water from the ocean is getting inside of my body, is getting floated. So hurry up, go to the back of the boat. There are some steps in the water. Jump in." So I go to the back. The dolphin is still next to me. I see the steps. I jump in. And as soon as I jump in, I see like this of water inside of the boat. I said, "Sir, do you have a bucket? I can take the water out of the bucket." I said, like, "No, we don't have time for that. Come on, sit down next to me." So I sit down next to him. He put a towel over me. And then he asked me the following questions. "Are you okay? Are you fine?" I said, "Yes, sir." "What happened to you?" I said, "Well, I was swimming at the shore and something pulled me under the water. It was like a whirlpool." And then he said, "That's a riptide." I didn't know what a riptide was. So he explained me in that moment. He said, "You never fight with a riptide." That's why I pulled you all the way here and take all your energy out. And then he asked me like, let me ask you another question. Where are you from? I said, I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. I said, you're from Atlanta, Georgia? I'm from Atlanta, Georgia too. I said, like, what? What part? And he said, I'm from Norcross. I said, I'm from Duluth. Duluth and Norcross is next to each other. So we're neighbors. Look like, what? So in that moment, he looked behind me and he started screaming, like, oh my God, look behind you, look behind you. And when I look behind me, I see the dolphin jumping, following the boat all the way around the island. Incredible, incredible. I was like, whoa, whoa. So when we arrived to the bayside, the guy said, son, I have to leave you right here because I have to go back to the shore. I need to fix my boat. But if you want to see me again, every Memorial Day, I'm gonna come to this point. At this point, I just get down off the boat. He said, God bless you, take care. And I start walking to the shore. In that part of the island, because it was surrounded with rocks, and that made the level of the water go down. I could walk all the way. The water was like right here. So I started walking, and then something hit my leg. And when I looked back, the dolphin was behind me. So I started crying again, like, why does this dolphin follow me? Like, oh my God. So when I look in front to the island, there was nobody else because it was the last boat. Everybody was looking for me on the other side of the island. So when I get to the shore, I go on my knees and I said this following words. I said, God, you know what? This is it for me. From today, I'm going to tell you something. Carlos died into the ocean. The person who's coming out of the water is going to be you. If you save me with this dolphin, it's because you have a purpose for my life. I don't know what do you want from me, but I'm going to tell you this. From this moment, you can take my life, take my soul, and use me as an instrument for you. You know, whatever you want to do it through me. And in that moment, it started raining, thundering, lightning, and in that moment, it was a very spiritual moment for me. I started crying. And after I said this, people start running from the other side of the island. My friends come and start hugging me and crying. The police arrive. They take me back to the island. And after we get to the island, the police ask me like, what happened? I explained about the whirlpool under the water. The management asked me like, how that happened? I said, well, guys, you're supposed to have a red flag on that island. So he said the ocean is dangerous, you know, or a sign that here in the United States, almost every beach have a big sign that it said, be careful with riptides and lifesavers. I think they didn't have lifesavers in that side of the island, you know. And I said, six guys jumped to save me. They could die, or or I could die, you know. But don't wait until somebody died for you to do something. So after that, they apologized. After this, everybody that came from the beach, plus my friends, they start saying like, "What do we do now?" So let's go to a church because this was a miracle. I just want to go and say thanks to God. So we went to the first church close to the park, and it was a Catholic church. When we tried to get in, the church was closed, but outside was a big garden with a cave, and inside of the cave was like a little chapel, and it had the Virgin Fatima, and it was full of candles. And then we all of us in and out of this cave, we hug each other and we pray. We pray for like 20 minutes. And after we pray, my friends are like, Carlos, what do you want to do now? So like, I just want to go back to the hotel, get something to eat, and go back to sleep. Take a shower and go back to sleep. So I went to the hotel, I got something to eat, shower, and as soon as I put my head on the pillow in my bed, I had an epiphany. I didn't know what was epiphany was. It was like a vision. So in this vision, I was on the third floor of a cruise in the Caribbean. So I'm grabbing the handrails. I look in front of me and I see the blue ocean, blue sky, no clouds, very sunny day. But at the end of the ocean, I see a tsunami rising, big wave coming my way. I was like, oh my God, again, I'm gonna die. I've been dreaming with tsunamis since I was a kid. I don't know what is the meaning of the tsunami, but I always see in every dream that I fly over the city or I fly over the ocean and the tsunami go and take everything over. So I see this and I cover my eyes just waiting for the impact. I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And then what, 10, 15 minutes later, nothing happened. And I feel some hands behind me. It's like, hey, look at me. I was like, no, we're about to die. I said, look at me, you're never gonna die with me. And when I look back, I see this big guy was like 6'5", with a white robe, and he was light coming from his face. And I was like, what? So in that moment, I knew it was Jesus. And he said, close your eyes. So I closed my eyes. He hugged me from behind. And then 10 seconds later, he said, open your eyes. So I opened my eyes. He opened his arms. Look in front of you. Welcome. Welcome to heaven. I was like, what? I'm in heaven. And in front of me, I see this huge, it was like a golf course, like fresh cut grass. At the end of the all this golf course, it was millions of people dressed in white robe. And it was like an infinitive, like heaven. The sky was infinitive. And everybody was glowing. And then I was like, you're Jesus, right? Like, okay, I cannot die right now, Jesus. Could you take me back, please? I have to do a lot of stuff. I said, no, I cannot take you back because you make a promise to me and you need to fulfill your promise. And that's why when you make a promise, you need to finish your promise, you know? So be careful what you wish for. And then I said, yeah, but you mean when I was 14 years old and all this? And I asked you to say, yeah, yeah. But he said, in this moment, I just want to say, welcome to heaven. From this moment, you're part of me and part of all of them. From this moment, you start walking with me and walking with all of them. Do you have any questions? I said, yes, I have a question. What's your question? I said, where all these people come from? They're coming from every country in the planet, from all over the world. I said, okay. Do you have another question? I said, yes. There are 50,000 religions all over the world, just for say a number. um, what is the true religion? I always ask that question to myself. And he said, the only thing that I can tell you is when you come to heaven, there is no religions in heaven. The only thing that you're going to find here is love. Love is the most powerful force in the universe. And that's when it's going to unite the whole humanity in one. And in that, after he said that, he puts his arms over me and said, let me give you a life review. So he grabbed his other hands and then screens for like Apple computers show up in the sky, and then I start seeing my life since I was a baby until right now. And what it was really amazing with me is was the little moments, like all the moments that I did something amazing in my life. I thought it's going to be reflected on these screens. No, it was just the little moment that changed people. It was those little moments that have like how do you call, like a ripple effect.
Yes.
Like when you give some food to some homeless on the street, how that go and cause ripples, you know? Like, I mean, when you give money to somebody that needed. So those moments that I was seeing in that moment. And another thing that impressed me was he showed me every time that I was hurting somebody with my words, how I affect that person. And he put me in his heart so I could feel the pain of what that person was feeling. So I could see what I was doing. We all humans do that, you know, but we need to trying to be the best version of ourselves. So after I saw that, he said, okay, it's time for you to go back. So I go back. Then he pushed me in the back. And the next morning I wake up and I was like, oh my God, what a dream. The next morning, I tell my friends my story in my dream because I thought it was a dream. And then we go back to Atlanta. On Monday, I go back to work. I've been working in my company for 20 years. When I get to my office, there are three managers there. I said, guys, guess what happened this weekend? I went to the beach and this riptide took me and a dolphin saved me. And they were all like, yeah, right. And then they start laughing. And behind me, I heard like, I believe you. And when I look back, it was my boss. And I was like, why do you believe me and they don't believe me? I said, like, because all of them, they're atheists. I'm a Christian. Number two, I want you to go on your computer and Google how many dolphins has saved humans through history. And then I Google it. A lot of people has been saved by dolphins. Every time that they swim near sharks, so the dolphin defend the person, or every time that somebody's drowning, the dolphin saved them. It's like, wow, I didn't know that. Now my boss said, Google how many dolphins, how many people die in the United States every year by riptide. I Google it, more than 100 people die every year in all the United States. It's a silent killer, you know, it take you and you disappear and boom. I didn't know that. Then he said, now Google how many dolphins get killed every year, and they still saving lives. 100,000, mostly in Asia. I was like, whoa. And then he said, now the last one, what is the meaning of the dolphins for Christians? And when I Googled what is the meaning of the dolphin, I want you to do it. See, I'm not making it up. It means Jesus. The dolphin represents Jesus for Christianity. I was like, what? I will never thought about that, you know? This was Monday. On Wednesday, my boss sent me to a customer that one of my guys with I work in a service company. One of my guys went to do a service on a house, customer house. And when I get to the customer house, the customer said, yeah, one of your employees broke a lamp on the basement. I'm cooking right now. Could you do me a favor? Go to the basement, turn all the lights. At the end of the basement, you're gonna see the lamp is on the side. I say, okay. So I go down the stairs, walk all the way to the end of the basement, turn the light. I see the gold lamp on the side, but next to the gold lamp, it was a huge painting on the wall. Guess what was this painting? The whole image of what I saw in heaven. There was Jesus in the middle. There was thousands of people in the background, and at the bottom of Jesus was dolphins. And I was like, oh my God, this wasn't a dream. This was real. So I started crying, like, oh my God, this is too much. This is too much. The customer come down, Carlos, what's going on? I said, like, how in the world you have this painting here? I was like 2 days there, 2 days ago there. So what do you mean? Well, I have like an epiphany and all this was there. I said, like, well, let me tell you how this painting came to my house. A friend of my family 3 years ago brought a huge canvas and started doing the painting. When he finished, he put it right there. It was a gift for my family. But you can let me turn the light so you can see the whole thing. It was the same scene that I saw in heaven. That was Wednesday. On Thursday, I called my best friend. He lived an hour away from my house. I tell the whole story. He said, Carlos, on Sunday, you need to come to church. You need to tell people about that. There's a testimony. People need to listen to that in church. Like, are you crazy? I will never tell this story to nobody. Who's going to believe me? Like, do you know how many bullies and how many? No, 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 no. No, no. I don't want to tell that. He was like over an hour on the phone. Carlos, please, please, just one time, just one time. After an hour, he convinced me. I said, okay, on Sunday, I go to his house. So on Sunday, I travel 1 hour where he lived, and we get breakfast with his wife. And then I say, okay, what church you want to go? So like, no, I don't know. What church you want to go? So like, look, Jesus told me it's not about religion, it's about love. So whatever church is first, let's go to that one. Okay. So we start driving, and the first church that we saw is called St. Michael the Archangel. So when we get down of the car and to the parking lot, there was like 100 cars there. And I asked a lady next to me, in my car, I said, excuse me, ma'am, what's going on here today? And she said, well, what happened is this used to be a little church, but today is the inauguration of this big church. I was like, okay, so you guys came on time to see the inauguration. It's like a cathedral. So, okay, cool. So we go see the inauguration, and my friend said, Carlos, speak with the priest to see if you can tell your testimony. I spoke with the priest and I said, at the end of the ceremony, you can tell your testimony. So we get to the end of the ceremony. I grab the microphone, go to the stage, and I start telling my testimony. And guess what? When I'm in the middle of the testimony, this 17 years old raised her hand and says, excuse me, could you stop your story right there? I was like, what? I said, yes, yes, yes. How can I help you? I said, yeah, I just want to ask you a question. I said, sure. How Jesus was with you? I said, he was behind me. While he was dressed in a white robe. Were you wearing in front of him? Why? I said, watch this. So she grabbed black, long hair. She put the hair in front of her and she turned around. And let me see if I have a picture around here. Let me see. I used to have, yeah, right here. So this is the picture that she have. She have a printing on
Wow.
her. Yeah. Yeah, she have like a teacher. And this was a print on her back of the teacher. And she asked me, it was like this? I said, yep, it was exactly like that.
Amazing.
And then everybody at church started, I mean, talking like, oh my God, you guys planned this and you guys this is like, no, I live an hour away from here. I don't know anybody here, just my friend, you know. And this is the first time this come to the church. I guess this is just a coincidence, you know. Anyways, the church service end. I go back home and I go on Google and I Google Jesus hugging a guy. And it comes with the story. The guy who created this painting, Its name is called Thomas Black Chair. And in 1992, he started doing fasting for 2 weeks. And when he was doing fasting for 2 weeks, he said he was asking God, he was just drinking water and fasting. So he was getting clear. Let me paint an image of Jesus so every time that somebody feels alone, they know they're not alone. They know that you are behind him and you're helping them. You know, it's going through divorce, I mean, to the loss of any family member or anything hardship in your life, you know Jesus is behind you. So he started doing the painting, and when he was half away in the painting, he hear a voice. It was the Holy Spirit saying to him, "Thomas, it's a beautiful painting, but you need to write a book." And he said, "A book for what?" I said, "Well, you need to explain people what is the meaning of the painting. Look, you see the black in the background? That's the darkness that we all humans have.
Mm-hmm.
This is the illumination that all humans have. This is the love of God, the strength that He grabs us with, and all that. So you need to explain." And he finally did his book. His book is called Forgiveness. And in this book, he explained every part of that painting. And this is how my story ends. So when I was in heaven, and before Jesus pushed me down, he said, "Carlos, I need you to give this message to the world." I knew in that moment that was the message that I told him when I was 14 years old. I'm going to tell the whole world that you're real. So this is the message that he wanted me to take. He said more than 90%, 98% of people around the world have childhood trauma and they need to forgive. What they need to forgive? They need to forgive, number one, their parents. It doesn't matter if they abandoned you, if they didn't like you, if they hit you, if they abuse you. They didn't have any manual of instructions to raise a kid. Number two, you need to forgive your inner child. Whatever happened in your childhood, it wasn't your fault. You was scared, you was afraid. Number three, you need to forgive every person that came to your life to harm you. Why? When you forgive your parents, your inner child, and the people that harm you, you're not forgiving them. You're forgiving yourself. In that moment, you open your heart and you throw away all the hate, all the resentment, and all the poisons that have been eating you for years that later can cause cancer and another sicknesses. It's resentment inside of your body. You need to let it go. And from that moment is when you start living your purpose, because Jesus told me everybody came to earth with a purpose. And what is the purpose? Very simple. I give everybody of you a gift. Some people I give the gift to cook amazing. Some people I give the gift of teaching, the gift of swimming, the gift of sports, the gift. Everybody have their own gift. And what is the gift? It's the only thing that you do better than anybody else. That's your gift. If you don't want to do your gift, the second one is called service. Why service? Because when you die, you're not taking anything from earth. When you die, you don't want to take your house, your cars, your diplomas, your money, your Bitcoin. Look at Steve Jobs. I mean, he was a CEO with the multi-million dollars. What he took with him? He didn't took anything. And then that's just my reflection of what he was telling me, you know. And then he said, you know, Mother Teresa of Calcutta, Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, Princess Diana, Martin Luther King, what they did was service, and their service continued until today. So my final question for all the viewers that are watching this program right now is, what you guys are doing today to leave a legacy? After you listen to my story, I just put a seed in your heart. What are you doing today to leave a legacy of love? Because that's why we came to this world, to leave love, to leave a legacy. So one day, when your time comes and they ask you before you go to heaven, it was worth it for you to go to earth? How many people you help? How many people you give love? How many lives you change? And you probably say, yes, let me show you what I did on earth. And that's my story.
I completely get that. And actually, when you hear people, different people who've had near-death experiences, a lot of them say there are two questions that were asked during the life review. And it was, as you say, what have you done for others? And, you know, how did you love? basically.
Hmm.
And I mean, love is the panacea of everything, isn't it, really? It's something, as you say at the beginning, something that unites humanity. So do you think, Carlos, just thinking about uniting humanity because we live in a difficult world, do you think that that is possible for us on Earth at some point to actually live in unity?
Well, I believe we can live in unity if we heal ourselves first. How? Look, what happened to you in your childhood is not your fault. But as an adult, it's your responsibility to heal yourself. So it's time to stop blaming my parents did this to me and they no. Take everything by your hands right now and say, okay, I need to heal. I need to find the tools that's gonna make me feel better. And after I heal, I can save the world, you know?
Yes,
And
because you're absolutely right. I mean, actually, you know, we have to love ourselves first. That's what we have to learn to do, because how can you love other people if you're not respectful of yourself, if you don't like yourself or love yourself? And of course, we're not talking about being narcissistic here. We're talking
uh,
about genuine and authentic people seeing our gifts and make the most of it and use it rightly, as you say yourself. Now, I'm interested about when you say gift,
mhm,
Carlos, because you talked about gift and then you say something about service.
mhm.
So we know that you are in service, that's very clear, right? But
Mhm.
could you tell us what are your gifts then that you think you receive for this mission on Earth?
Okay, look, when I work with elderly people as care assistant, caregiver,
Mm.
um, I receive so much love because here in the US, I don't know in England, but here most of the families, when the persons get really old, they just put it on an assisted living and they forget about them. And how do I know that they forget about them? Because I work in the system and I know that they never call them back, you know? And for me as a caregiver, I have to make like the Christmas, New Year's, birthdays, Thanksgiving, and through all these holidays, nobody called them, you know? And it's really sad for me to see that, you know. And
Yeah.
for them I'm everything, you know. When I get there in the morning, they make me a sandwich and they have me a coffee, and I was like, well, I came here to take care of you. I said, no, but we love you. And I remember when I quit that, when I my first job that I quit because I was offered a bigger job, I came back 6 months later to the assistant living to see how my clients were, and nurse opened the door and said, "You're Carlos." I said, "Yes." "How do you know my name?" "Because I don't know you." I said, "Well, your pictures is on Jesus' heart inside of the dining room, and everybody for you prays around dinner time." I was like, "Really?" I said, "Yes." They said they will never change you for 5 nurses. I said, like, "Why?" I said, "Because you have something that the nurses they say don't have. The nurses came here to do their job and go home. You
Yeah.
give love to them." And I don't say the nurses are like that, you know, but it's, you know, you can feel when somebody is giving you love or they're just going there just to do their job and go home, you know. And that's what they need. They need love. And of course, when I get out of these residences with all these elderly people live, my heart is about to explode with love. It's the same. I serve an organization, it's called Food for Life, and this is one of the biggest organizations in the world to give food to the homeless on the street. And believe me, I met so many homeless that they have careers, they're engineers, but something in their life happened that they came to completely abandon, you know, like their family have an accident, they kill each other. I mean, everybody died on an accident, and he couldn't hold it anymore and he went to the streets. But actually, if you speak with the people on the street, you see they're humans, you know, they have feelings, you know. People trying to forget about these people. That's why my organization on the weekends, we go and try to give it a little hope, a little love, you know, and talk
Yes.
to them,
Yeah.
give food, and we see their eyes and they light up when they see, oh my God, you guys are here. Thank you
Well,
so much for what
yes.
you did.
Carlos, when you give all that love, you're going to get it
Yeah,
back, aren't you?
yeah,
Because
yes.
people love to be loved, and then everybody's happy. So that's great. I want to ask you, when you were going back to when you were in heaven and you were made, you saw a lot of people, etc. Were you made aware that perhaps you may have had more than one life on Earth?
In that moment, I wasn't thinking about that. In that moment, I was completely astonished by Jesus talking to me, and I was just concentrated on every word he was saying to me. I don't know how to respond to
Yeah.
that because I didn't feel it in that moment.
Well, because I think the message for you was so clear and the mission that you had to hear it basically,
Yes,
didn't you? So maybe
yes,
that's why.
yeah,
And so I believe, I mean, it's
yeah,
I call, rather than God, I call it the source, but I think we
yeah.
can understand that. Um, and I believe that we choose
Hmm.
the life that we're going to have when we come back,
Hmm.
if we suppose that we come back to Earth, and that we agreed to actually go through the different things, maybe not everything, but we have the main lines of our lives. So do you think the same, that maybe you agreed actually to have this life, and your near-death experiences were a reminder of maybe putting you on the right track, so to speak?
Well, I believe that near-death experience. I wish everybody have a near-death experience because some people they forget to be human. They forget to give love. So when you go through a near-death experience, when you come back and you can listen for another near-death experiencers, your life changed completely.
Yeah.
And the way that it changed for me is like, oh my God, life is gone like this in an instant. Your life is gone. So for me, I realized like, oh my God, I'm watching the phone, I'm watching TV, I'm losing my time there. I need to go to the streets. I need to go to the mountains. I need to go to the ocean. I need to feel that I'm alive. I need to feel that the love for my family. I need to help as many people I can. I need to stop watching the news. I need to do more acts of service to humanity. But that was me. That was me. And it took me 5 years to digest this idea. It took me 5 years to finally tell my story. I mean, because I was hearing, you need to write a book, you need to write a book. I was like, I don't know how to write a book, God. Like, but anyways,
But you've done it. You've written a book.
I did it because he pushed me. I mean, yeah, believe it or not, I'm writing 2 more books right now.
Oh,
And
excellent.
yeah, because in these 2 books, I'm telling people what I went for 5 years. I was super scared to write this. I said, like, how people is gonna take this on? But God was telling my mom, everything's gonna be fine. You don't have to worry about anything. I need you to give this message away. This is I take you as a messenger. You need to tell people. And believe me, the first time I was like, okay, God, I don't know anything on how to write a book, but if you put me a publisher in front of me, I'll do it. Guess what? 2 weeks later, I went to a meeting, and out of the blue, it was a publisher in the meeting, and he asked, like, "Hey, is anybody in this group wants to write a book?" And the person who invited me, he's like, "Hey, right here." And I was like, "Oh my God, I don't think I have the money. I don't think it's like." And I have a story with that. I mean, I didn't know that I could write the book, and I was afraid to write it. But I took the number of the guy. And then weeks later, I went to a church to tell my testimony. And this was a church for Mother Teresa nuns. I don't know, you know Mother Teresa, right?
Yes.
And when I finished, the service was end. A lady come and put her hands over me, and she closed her eyes. Like, what did she do? But she was a prophet. You know, as a prophet. And she started saying stuff to me. I was like, oh my God. And she said, don't worry about your book because your book, God is gonna pay for it. And I was like, what? Like, I need real money. Guess what happened? When I finished my book, I didn't complete the money. It was a lot of money. It was thousands of dollars. But I didn't have the money to pay for the whole thing to the publisher because mine was half and a half, was hybrid with a publisher. So I have to pay half of the whole book, right? So I was praying like, God, you told me like you're gonna help me with the book, you're gonna help me with the book. And I traveled, I was on vacation. I traveled to Florida. I stayed with a friend house, Jose. And I remember the night before I have to pay the next day the money, I open my computer and I see, oh my God, this is thousands of dollars. I don't have this money. These people is gonna put me on collections. I don't know what I'm gonna tell him to get this money. But I said, well, tomorrow will be another day. I will see what's gonna happen, you know. I close my laptop, I go to sleep. The next morning I wake up, I make some coffee. Everybody was sleeping. I wake up around 6 a.m. I grab my cup of coffee, open my laptop, log in on my publisher, and when I go to see my book, like to think how I'm gonna pay the money, zero.
What?
Zero.
What happened?
Exactly. So I was like, what? No, maybe I'm sleeping. Let me go back and go back to the bed. Maybe this is a dream. So I go back like, no, this is real. I'm pinching myself.
That's
So I go
incredible.
back. I know. I go to the computer. I was like, what? So I need to wait for the publisher to open around 9 a.m. So I wait and I call them. So like, excuse me, there is a confusion here. Last night I went to sleep around midnight and the amount of money that I have to pay you was there and now it's not, it's zero. Could you explain me what happened? And the lady, okay, like, give me your code and everything. So she get in the computer and she said, oh, wait a minute. Somebody in the middle of the night went to the computer and paid for your book, the whole thing.
Wow, that's
I
incredible. That's
was like,
absolutely amazing.
I started crying because I was like, I couldn't believe. I was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
what the prophet told me was real. Like, wow, how many proof I need that this is real, you know?
Well, this is the thing with you is that, you have been on the path. And when you're on the path, everything opens up. And you've had
Yeah.
so many synchronicities
Yes.
and signs. My God, I've written a book. I wish someone would have done that for me.
Well,
I think
go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
it's so cool. Absolutely so cool.
But
So,
let me finish quick.
yeah, go
So
on.
the publisher, I asked like, who paid for my book? So they went there. I said like, well, somebody that worked with the government of the United States. I said like, what? So I go there, and yes, I have a friend in California. He lives in Arizona, and he paid for the book. I said, oh no, no, wait a minute. I never asked him to pay for my book. So no, I need you to when I'm gonna talk to him, and he's gonna give you your money back. Okay. So let me wait for him to wake up, and I'm gonna call him. So I call him around 10 or 11, and I say, hey brother, like, are you okay? Like, why in the world you pay for my book? Like, no, that's not right. I never ask you for help. Like, I get in this problem myself. I will see how I'm gonna get out of this, okay? But you don't have to take this for yourself. And he laughed and said, Carlos, I'm sorry. I don't need the money back. I said, like, why? Are you crazy? Like, nobody gave that amount of money to nobody, you know? And he said, well, last night I have a dream with God, and he told me you have some savings in your account that you was saving for something. I want you to give that to Carlos' book. Just do that for me. And then he said to me, Carlos, I don't need that money, believe me. And I just being obedient and I just paying for my book. So I don't want, it's not nothing to do with you. It's with me and God. You know, I asked him for a favor. He's giving to me and I'm giving you what he asked me for. And that's what I was like amazed, you know?
That's incredible. And as you say, when you say, I wish everybody would have a near-death experience, but actually, at one point in my life, I was wishing the same. But then, people don't realize that actually it's not that easy because, as you said yourself, for 5 years, you had to compute it and come to terms with what was happening to you and the change, and actually, getting the courage to stand up. I think it was a cathedral, by the way, wasn't it, where you stood up in the church? Because, was that right? It was not a chapel, it was a cathedral.
Where
In
I
the
did my
church
first
when you
speech?
had,
Yes.
So, that's a lot of people.
I was super scared. Believe me, I was scared. But I
Yeah,
said,
I
well,
can
what is
understand.
the chance? And I didn't want to tell my story because you know how many Christian fanatics are gonna come behind me and they're gonna kick my butt, or how many haters are gonna come. But what I was hearing in front of me is like, it doesn't matter. You need to give this message to the world. Like,
Okay, yeah.
go ahead.
I'm just going to say, because and I'm glad you said that, because the main thing, really, whatever religion you are, whatever philosophy you believe in, or even if you don't believe in anything, you will see that when you pass on the other side, you'll be filled with love, and whoever you are, we absolutely all equal. And I'm so glad that you actually said that. I've got another question, Carlos.
Yes, go ahead.
Some people who maybe have passed over, or think I heard that from Bashar, and saying that life on Earth is more like a dream, it's more like an illusion, and the reality really is really us on the other side of Earth. And then I don't know where we go after that. There's probably different levels. But were you aware of that? What do you think of this view that life here on Earth is like an illusion or a dream?
I listen a lot of near death experience, and there almost everybody said the same thing. For me, I was living that moment like it was real. I was there with Jesus. It wasn't like a dream. It was more vivid. It was like a 360 degrees. It was like extremely real. So yeah, I can believe that. Yeah, I can believe that. And look, when during these 5 years, I asked for proof that I wasn't making this up in my mind, or was my imagination that was making this up. I just telling you one little quick. A guy invited me to a spiritual retreat, very famous here in the States, called MIUs. MIUs is a passage on the Bible that is called the Way of Jesus.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to go to this retreat, but the main director is like, "Oh my God, Carlos, you need to go to the retreat because you're gonna save some life." And there are 50 men that are going. Please, please, please. He paid for the whole thing. I didn't want to go, but I finally went. And I cannot tell you about the whole thing, what happened there, but I'm gonna tell you what transformed my life, because I was asking for proof. So one day before the spiritual retreat ends, the priest come with the Bible. And he said, "Carlos, put your hands on the top of the Bible and ask for any question you want to ask God." And I said, "You know what, God? I just want to ask you if you really want me to give this message to the world, if you really want me to do this book." The book wasn't ready at that moment. And I said, "I just want to see something tangible, something that I will say like, yes, it is. And the priest said, "Okay, tomorrow you will have your answer." And I was like, "Okay." So guess what? The next morning, I wake up early, and we get breakfast all together, right? And as soon as we went to get breakfast, um, we finished breakfast, and the priest said, "I'm gonna take you to a ballroom. There are 50 chairs there." So we go to the ballroom. There are 50 chairs. I'm gonna put the 50 chairs everywhere in the whole room. I put the 50 chairs. We were 50 men, and say, "I want you to go and grab any chair you want and sit down. On the chair, there is an envelope there. So everybody sit down. Now I want you to grab the envelope and start passing it left, right, back, and forth. I'm gonna count to 30. And just your envelope is gonna go through the whole room. And we don't know where it's gonna stop, okay?" And all the envelopes were the same color. So they were yellow, because it's yellow envelope. The whole room. And then he says, "Stop," after 30 seconds. "Now I want to tell you that you choose your own chair. And that envelope is not the same envelope that was in your chair when you sit down right there. This is to confirm that God planned the message that you got in your hands right now. That's the right message that you're going to receive for the question that you asked yesterday." Do you remember my question? My question was, show me something that is clear that I need to write a book, right? And guess what it was? When the priest said, Now, please open your manila envelope and see what is inside. And guess what was inside of mine? It was a painting. It was done by kids from elementary school. And this is the result. Let me show you.
Oh, that's the Bible with
Yeah. So he's coming out of the,
Jesus.
yeah.
Yes.
But the main thing that I see, like the Bible, is the book, you know? The book is open
Of
and Jesus is
course.
coming.
How could I miss that?
And
Yes.
the Holy
Amazing.
Spirit is giving the book like the direction through the whole
Yes.
world. And
And
people
you are
countries.
held by the whole world.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. But Carlos is just like mind-boggling. I mean, you can't even start, computing it. It needs some reflection. Hello,
Yes.
Kat. Hello. But the other people around, did they have an answer for themselves as well?
Oh, well, I
Or
just
was it just
remembered.
for you?
No, 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 no. Everybody have the right answer for their question. I
Mm.
just remembered the guy that was next to me because he was crying the whole time. And his question was, God, I just need to ask you this question. I've been trying to have a baby for 10 years. Me and my
Mm.
wife, we're going through every treatment. We spend thousands of dollars trying to
Mm.
have this baby, and there is no way that we have a baby. Please tell me why I don't have a baby. And if you want to give me a baby, tell me. Well, this guy opened his envelope. It was the timing of God is perfect. He is on the way.
So, yeah, Carlos, that's just amazing. Now, there are questions about the dolphin that I want to ask you before we finish. And when you were with the dolphin
Mhm.
and you looked into his eyes and he looked into your eyes too. And as you say, it was a connection soul to soul, and I completely get that.
Yeah.
Do you think there was, as you've thought about thought about it afterwards, do you
Mhm.
think there was like any other special messages that were maybe telepathically just given to you through the dolphin?
Well, I cannot respond that because the dolphin didn't talk to me, but I can tell you here in the United States, I think it's illegal to go and get close to dolphins. There used to be clinics. I think it was in Hawaii. You can Google it, where ladies used to have babies underwater near to dolphins. Like the dolphins, they swim around their bellies before they have the baby, and when they have the baby near to the dolphins, and the dolphins like emit some sounds and some waves,
Yeah.
some frequency. Then and those kids were super intelligent.
Mm.
Because of that, all these places were closed in the U.S. And yeah, I believe that dolphins have two brains, right? It's not like human; they're very intelligent, And I believe if we should have contact with the dolphins, I believe we will have a lot of answers. But for some reason, they don't want us to get close to dolphins. But yeah, if that dolphin was saving me, yeah, I believe that he was trying to communicate with me and tell me like, I'm here for you, brother. I came to save you. Like, and it showed me too to give this message to people: do not kill dolphins because they are here to be on peace. They're beautiful mammals.
They're amazing, you
They're
know,
amazing.
and they represent love, kindness, they're
Yes.
light bearers, as you say, symbol of Christ or Jesus, their
Mhm.
protection, they warn of danger, imminent danger, and it's about the eternal life. So it was all that you need to learn was there really in a
Yeah.
representation of the dolphin.
Yeah, the
And
dolphin was something beautiful. And I just want to say something before I forgot. So one of the things that made me write my book, it was like 3, 4 years ago, before the 2, 3 years before the book came out. I heard a thunder around 2 a.m. in the morning in my house.
why not?
I was
I said, why
Everything.
not? Because you've had a lot of thunder, you've had tsunami, we're not surprised.
Exactly. So I was by myself. I was sleeping, and I jumped like a cat to the ceiling of the room when I heard this. But I hear a voice, a thunder voice, and the voice said, "I want you the name of your book to be Help from Heaven." And that's how I write my book, and I put that name, Help from Heaven. And guess what? At that, and I turned the lights on, and I was like, "Who's there? Who's there?" I thought somebody jumped into my house, and I start turning the lights to every room, and there is nobody here, you know. And I was like, "Help from heaven! What is that?" So at 2 a.m. in the morning, 2, 3 a.m. in the morning, I go to my computer and I go to Google and I type "Help from Heaven," and I want you to type "Help from Heaven" there in your computer and see what you're gonna find. The first thing that is gonna come is a video, and I played in this video. And guess what the video is? The video was done by Matt Riemann. Matt Riemann is a very famous UK singer, Christian singer, Billboard Award, and his song is called Help from Heaven. And when he started singing that song, the lyrics of the song is almost telling my story. You know, he said like, when I save a soul for being drowned is because I have better plans and all that stuff. I couldn't believe what I was hearing, you know, in that moment. And it made my heart like, wow, this is real, you know? And this was one of the 5 years that it took me because I was asking for proof. Like, if this is real, show me that it's real. And
I
I just
think
want to
you
let you know. Yeah,
I
and
think
look
you
for
got a
that.
lot. You got
You
a lot
what?
of proof, didn't you?
Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. And so, Carlos, I think people can buy your book on Amazon. Is that right?
Yes, it's on
Mm.
Amazon. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's in
Maybe
English.
tell them the publisher.
Yes, it's called New Degree Press. New Degree Press. This is a um, publisher from University of is Washington D.C. Is
Okay.
forgot the name of the university, but yeah, I did it with the help of the University of Washington D.C.
Mm.
And it was really amazing. I mean, it was a really amazing to write this book. I have the audiobook in English and Spanish. I have the Kindle version. I have the hardbook copy, regular copy, and and that's my story. I mean, I just want to give this to the world so people can change from themselves, you know, and be a better version of themselves. They're more kind with more people, you know. I believe in like, you know, if you do something to somebody, it's gonna come back in unexpected ways, you know. And I always follow the golden rule that Jesus said: do to others the same thing that you want to be doing to yourselves, you know, treat everybody the same, equal, you know. My mother used to say another thing big on me is my mother used to say this when a man stop being humble, his existence stop too. Like he don't exist anymore when you stop being humble. And
So
that
good.
resonates with my heart a lot, you know, because some people they're very greedy and they feel they're amazing. We just live like this in this world, like a tiny fraction of life, you know?
Sure.
And like the Bible said, we came from dust and will return to dust. So what are you pretending to be like, oh, more than everybody else? If we came here to earth to give love, to feel love, to experiment love. This is a vehicle, our body is a vehicle, but we're souls that live inside of this vehicle, you know? One day we're gonna leave this vehicle and we're gonna live in the other side, you know, that and everything is gonna be revealed there, everything you did. So why don't start acting with good faith and with good deeds to everybody, you know, around you, in your community, in your family, and start being the best that you can for others. What do you think?
I think it's amazing, and it would be much better if we all did that, obviously. And perhaps we have different missions because there is duality in life. But I think your story is absolutely amazing, Carlos, and I'm sure a lot of people will think the same. And it's obvious to me that you just leave a trail of happiness behind you. So that's such a beautiful thing. So,
Thank you.
Carlos, thank you so much for being my guest today. That was a pleasure and an honor to have you. And I just want to say to you, just stay on the line while I'll just say goodbye, but just stay online for a sec. And I'll just thank you again and say goodbye to everyone.
Okay, well, Isabel, thank you so much for inviting me. I just want to say to everybody that is listening to this program, just be the light. Be the light from your heart. Listen to your heart. Because when your heart is talking, it's God talking through you. You know, that little voice that we all have, and they tell you, do this, don't do that. Listen to that voice. And right now, we're in a critical moment in humanity where authenticity is number one. Don't try to be someone else. Try to be yourself. Try to show yourself to everybody else, you know. People can feel that from your heart. Speak from your heart.
That's true.
And be the best human being you can be, and just give the best to the world. That's what we're here for. Thank you.
Thank you, Carlos.